Okay, guys, like I promised, we are back and we are doing another little kind of live session, but not live. So I still haven't been able to sort it out. I have got a few options for going live. So I'm hoping from next week Monday, we can start doing the live sessions every single day. So until then, I'm just going to kind of give you a breakdown of where I am and why I'm in trades that I am in. But hopefully next week we can actually break it down all live with you guys and you can be with me if anyone is willing to join. So as you can see here, guys, we have entered down over here. We entered on the break of that because it is kind of also breaking a strong level. And we did get into a trade. We're only looking for, like I said, this is a $900 account at the moment. We're only looking for 1% per day. So my target for the day is $9. So with this trade, I was looking for about 450. It is turning around now, so we'll see if we can manage it. But there's always bound to be a retracement, right? I am expecting it to come at least to this area, maybe a little bit of a bounce and push up. Why am I looking at that? So let's kind of break it all down with you guys, have a look at what we were looking at. So normally I'll always start on the much higher time frames. So as you can see, I wonder if I can hide my positions. I can, and then can I? Okay, that's fine. So if I go to the daily, you can see that we generally have been pushing up. We are kind of like consolidating on the daily up top there. But generally, our momentum has definitely been up, right? So even on the weekly, if you look at the weekly, it's a nice clean. So I like to use fibs, guys. So if you cannot use a fib, a clean fib where you currently are, just go up a time frame. That's what I like to do, and then I can see where I can actually get a fib on. So it gives me an idea of where price might be kind of pushing back to, or has it already pushed back to that, right? So if I were to just draw a fib from there to there, you can see that we have already kind of hit the 23. We haven't yet hit the 38. Now the thing is, sometimes that is a very big wick. But it is still kind of price, but price would have started from there. So that would have been the starting point. So you can also draw your fibs up from there, in which case, if we were to do that on the higher time frames, I generally will do that. And I'll also look at whether the fib levels are actually lining up to my other levels, which this is. So in that case, that would mean that kind of that is a strong bounce point. It is where we're bouncing from now. But you draw the fibs as you want to. For me, the fibs are just a good indication of kind of just confirming my other levels, and then gives me a good idea on entries as well on the lower time frames, right? So I'll show you how that kind of works out. So I can see that we have pushed down. Maybe that's where we're kind of tapping. Could we be going lower? Yes, we could be. But I'm generally looking at buys. I still am feeling kind of strong buys on this one. So you could also go to the 30-minute over there and then say that if this is our push back, we can also get an idea from here where our kind of turnaround points can be. So we could now kind of potentially be retracing. All of my extra positions are still within this retracement, right? So we are pushing back over there, and that's what I'm going to show you now. So I can delete that. And if we go to, we can put our positions back on now. Okay, so our positions are back. You can see that my extra positions, I've got 1, 2, and I can still add a third there. So it'll be 4 in total. I only will ever add in 4 positions if I need to, and then I'll probably just manage my way out. Or worst case scenario, I have a pullout point that if I'm wrong, I take my loss and I don't try hold on to it, because this is a combination of kind of how I used to trade, or a strategy I used to trade, and a strategy that I've been following one of the gurus I follow, or my mentor, should I say. He doesn't pretend to be a guru. In fact, he probably says he's not, but he's probably one of the better traders I know out there. And he's the guy that I've been kind of following in terms of these levels and how price definitely moves from level to level. And that's now kind of how I'm bringing what he teaches and what I've already been doing, but to kind of fine tune what I was doing. Because how I was trading before, I would have a lot more kind of grid trading style, a lot more positions. It wouldn't really be too well thought out in terms of the number one, the direction I'm going, and number two, how many positions and how much I can actually lose. So my win rate used to be about 80 or 90% on that thing, but the 10% that I used to lose would always wipe out everything, as most grid style strategies are. So yeah, it's something that, you know, is very difficult when you hit those. So what this is doing is, yes, my losses can still be fairly big, but overall my win rate is still very, very high, but my loss is nowhere near as big. So that I've kind of reduced the size of the loss when I do lose. So I'm looking at 1% per day. That's my target. I'm looking at hitting 1%. So let's go down to the 5 minute and I'll show you where we are. So I entered on this. So it was on the break of this strong level over there, which was also a break of the previous highs over there. That's why I took that. We're having a nice rejection there now, which is good to see. My target now is only about $4.50. I've put it just below that area of interest because I do feel like price will be pushing up to there if it is going to continue going higher. So I'm going to wait and hold out for the 450, which is 50% of my daily target, right? Now, if I don't get into another trade for the rest of the day, I'm not going to force it because even though my target is that 1%, I am also taking what the market is giving me. I'm not going to ever try force anything out. If I feel there's another trade, it's also Friday. I don't like trading anything after lunchtime on a Friday because I don't want to get stuck in trades over the weekend. I want to be out and I don't want to be watching trades over the weekend. And that's just me. But I would rather say, okay, let's just either make nothing on a Friday or make a small amount. My main goal, guys, yes, I say my target is 1% per day. That's my ultimate target, right? But the main goal of my trading is to never lose, right? So just always move forward. The whole thing of my channel is always moving forward. And that's kind of my theory and the kind of concept I follow when I trade as well. Every day, I'm just looking at finishing with maybe one more than I did yesterday. So if I finish with $1 more than I did yesterday, that's a good day, right? That's it, guys. I just am trying to keep moving forward and never moving back. And there is going to be days where I move back, but ultimately that's kind of my mindset, is I just want to make sure. And if I feel like I'm wrong, then I will try and manage my way out as best as possible. And I'll show you how that works basically, because I'm going to show you another trade I could have got into. Oh, before I do that, one of the other things I use for confirmation, or kind of just to kind of go along with what I'm feeling in terms of my positioning or my direction, is this website here called FinViz. So if you go over to the Forex, you've got quotes and performance. The quotes, you can go down to a 5-minute chart, so you can actually go through and you can see over here, guys, GBP is there, USD is moving to the right. So GBP has not really moved. It's kind of like bouncing between those positions over there. Earlier today it was on 0.8%, so it's definitely climbing, but US dollar is kind of, you know, so everything is judged against the US dollar, but what is happening is the GBP is getting stronger in comparison to the dollar, right? So you know that we are moving up on this as well. So if you look at the hourly, the daily, it's the same, right? And then you go to performance, the minimum you can go to is daily as well, but you've got GBP over there, USD all over there. So this FinVest, the screener is also showing me that I'm right to be looking at buys, right? So it's just an extra confluence I like to use. Now you can use this on TradingView as well. You have the option to use this on TradingView. I'm not going to show you now because it'll go out of this. But you can actually look at that same kind of thing. The heat map on TradingView is a little bit more difficult to kind of read, and that's why I don't like using it. So let me show you another trade I could have got into. Excuse me. Another trade I could have gone into. Let me remove this. So again, this is what I could have been into, right? On the break of that, I would have been in, and I would have been in the positive now. And you can see my staging in all the way down to there. And if I'm wrong, I pull out over there, right? So that would have been the setup. Why would that have been? And it's a very similar sort of story to GBPUSD, right? I'd look at the weekly. On my weekly, that would be the push up I would be looking at. So if I was looking at that, that would kind of be the push up. And I can see that we've tapped into the 38 and we're rejecting on that, right? Yes, there is still a chance maybe we push down to the 50, which is kind of lining up with that, but we have tapped into this as well. So in terms of a support, we've kind of tapped that, and now we're pushing up off of that. And we know that euro, if you look at the strength over here, euro is even stronger than GBP, right? So we know that there's a good chance that this is still going to be pushing up, right? So that's just my extra confluence. I'm looking at buys here, and sometimes you're going to get it wrong, right? You might be looking at this where you're looking at, let's say, GBP NZD, and you're looking, okay, I'm buying, I'm going with GBP being stronger, but you might be at the end of that move, and these are now starting to push into the middle, right? So wherever you are, there is always a chance that you are at the end of that move, right? And then you just manage your way out, right? Because often at the end of a move, there's going to be a little bit more of a kind of move around. You're going to have a little bit more manipulation. You're going to have, consolidation. So there's always opportunity to manage your way. And when I'm managing, if I feel like I have to, I'll just manage my way to a break even and just get out, right? So this we're looking at definitely kind of pushing back up. We feel like it's kind of hitting that area where it would be turning around. If we now go to the 4 hour, if you look at the 4 hour now, you can see that the 4 hour is actually going down, but how far is that push down going to be? And now we could potentially be on a retracement on this move over here. So that means we are kind of currently hitting the 50. Generally, we are looking for buys. So there's a good chance that this is going to push up to the 60, right? So if we had the 60 lined up there, that could actually be our target. Maybe we look for a smaller target initially. So that is definitely where we could be pushing up to. 1 hour is very much the same thing. Now what you could start doing on the 1 hour, again, the power of the fibs is start giving you an idea of where you can place your positions. So this was slightly different on when I set up. So now these sort of positions would be slightly different. So this I would look at getting in over there. These are a little bit lower now. That would be over there. And this would be over there. So as you kind of are in live markets, your fib can change, because my initial was on this candle, but we still pushed up higher. So the fib moves along with that. And you can see now my entry points will be slightly different. And if you're not in those entries yet, you can still keep on changing, right? And generally I would wait to kind of retrace to this. I would like to be a bit more patient and say, I'm going to wait till we get back to there. So if we go to the 5 minute, let's say we are not in a position yet. Let me close this. What I could be doing is I could be saying, okay, I want price to be pushing down, which it is now. You can say, okay, my first trade is going to be, I'll wait for a little bit of a retracement. We'll say we're going to be there. My second trade is going to be there. My third trade is going to be there. My fourth trade, or we could even do it the other way around, right? We could be very patient and wait for the push down into this over here, which definitely could happen. And then we're going to bounce off of that. And then our target is only going to be there, right? Because that was the kind of retracement on the, what was it, the 4 hour, I think, where we could see price pushing to at least, right? So we could definitely have something on the lower time frame. So that's our kind of target on the higher time frame, because we're actually retracing on the higher time frame, right? So there's a chance that we're pushing up to there. If it's not a retracement and then we're actually going to be breaking market structure, we'll be pushing higher to this area over here. But this is our first point, because if we are retracing, this is kind of where it's going to get to, and it's going to turn around, right? You've got to understand on every time frame kind of where price is headed. You have your overall idea, but on every time frame at that moment in time, price could be moving in the opposite direction. But that happens, right? There's a reason price is moving in the opposite direction. So you can say, okay, that's fine. I'm happy for price to move in the opposite direction until it hits this point, and then I'm kind of looking at going in. Or that point could be your target on the time frame you're actually entering on, right? So yes, this is a retracement from a sell, a retracement on the 4 hour, but that's actually going to be my target for my overall trade setup, right? So that's kind of how I look at it, how I've been trading it, and it's been working very well, like I said. So these would be my 4 different positions that I would get into. If the GBP trade works out and I can close then I might be looking at getting in on this as well. So what I'll do is I'll actually wait for it to get there. If I see price doing what it should, so I won't just enter straight, right? I would actually wait for price to kind of do something like this, maybe push it down like that. We kind of hit this area, we have a little bit of a move, and then what I would do is obviously I'd be kind of drawing my buy stop on top of these two, and if I'm breaking that, that would be where I'm entering, right? And that's kind of what I would be looking at for that trade. Wait for it to get there, see what market structure does, what kind of happens there. If it just keeps pushing through, there's no point entering there. Then I can just push my first setup to there. If it still keeps pushing down, I can kind of reassess and say, is this actually now just going to be pushing a lot stronger? Have a look at the market screener. Are we changing? Is price kind of turning around? So you just take it as price comes, right? Don't just enter for the sake of entering. Look at everything. Try and kind of decipher everything the market's telling you. What information is in front of you, and try and work it out to the best of your ability, because that's all we can do, right? No one can predict the market. We can just look at what the market has given us and see if we can say, okay, what is the most probable for the market to do to do next, and can I get in a little piece of that? And that's kind of all we're doing. We're just kind of deciphering it and seeing if we can get in on that, right? So let's have a look at the GBP now, and as you can see, we have pushed down now. So for me, I would say I'm still happy to stay in this trade, because this at the end of the day is just a retracement. And if you look at that in terms of this push up from there to there, this is just pushing down to the 30, right? So if we just draw up some levels here, that's the 30 and that's the 50, right? So it could even push down to the 68, which is our entry, which is fine. I'm still happy with that. So let's just close that. So you could see we could still be tapping into those. We could potentially even break those, but it doesn't matter, right? We've still got a general idea. I'm happy for these to be picked up. If I'm wrong, I'll just kind of work with that trade as it comes, right? So my target for this one is around 450. I'm looking for 50% of my daily kind of goal. I'll be happy with that. And if I can enter into another trade today, I will, but I'm looking at time as well. I don't want to be entering anything after lunchtime. So that's that, guys. What else can I show you guys? Let me show you some of the stuff that happened today with my prop firm trading. Where am I going? All right, let's look at VPS. So first thing I can show you is, let's see, this one. So this one is Ola Prime. It's not taken in a trade yet. I'm hoping that I have a trade and I lose today. Why am I hoping I lose? Because I'm kind of at a point now where I just want to kind of close this out. Because you can see I've already made $402 profit with my the hedging on my live account. This is my own personal account with Pepperstone. And it's actually made $402. So if I were to lose today, if I go back to Ola Prime, okay, we're stuck now. But essentially, if I were to fail today, I think I go down to 92,000, so it'll be another 1,300. I'll be looking at making on the hedge account probably about just over $500, because my target was $500, and you can see how close my discrepancy is here. I'm only on the amount I've lost on the prop firm is a negative 82%, and how much I've made back on the live account, and that's the 500 is my target, is 80. So there's only a difference in 2% in that, right? Which is brilliant. That's exactly what you want to see. So yeah, if I end up making $500, I would essentially have made about $150 profit. So I'll make that back the money that I put in for the challenge, and I'll also make back another $150 profit for failing a challenge. Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, right? But it's true. We're failing challenges and still making money, right? So we've pushed through that now. We are now kind of looking at the next level and see how we actually bounce off of that. Okay, this is actually perfect. We're kind of getting a rejection on this area, which is kind of what we want to see. Is it going to push up now? So what I could do now as well, if I wanted to, I could always pull up the stop loss to break even on this, because I feel like if we push further than that, we are generally going to be pushing further down, and then maybe I can look at getting into another entry. But I'm just going to leave it for the sake of the video and showing you that you can manage your way out of trades. I'm going to do that. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. Like I said, I have got a few options now that I'm going to be looking at over the weekend so that I can trade live, which is exactly what I want to do. All of this stuff is what I want to do. And I would be looking at hopefully getting on every single day. I'm hoping it, probably I will, for me, it's easier to get on in the London session. I can trade London or New York. It doesn't matter. I can kind of get into a trade wherever I see there's a potential. Yeah, sometimes there's not going to be. Sometimes if there's news as well, make sure you're keeping an eye on news. You don't want to be trading too close to news, right? Or you can trade a setup, but if you feel like news is coming, have an idea of where you want to get out, let news play out, and then you can get back into the market. But what I'm going to do is, for now, until we go live, I'm going to do these little clips where I put it all on, do my breakdown, why I'm trading, have a little talk with you guys like we have done, and then at the end of the day, I'll post my little short of a recap of the day. And it's going to be very short because I can only do it a maximum of a minute. So within the minute, I'm going to tell you exactly what happened with the trade that I talked about in the video, exactly like I did yesterday. If you guys saw the video yesterday, you would have seen that I talked about that exact thing. I did the video and then I did the kind of trade recap afterwards. So that's what I'm going to do later today. So keep an eye on the short. I'll be doing a recap on this, and I'll let you know if I got into any other trades and what happened there. So we'll let you know how this one plays out, and yeah, keep an eye out for that short, guys. So we will see you guys then next week, hopefully for the lives. Like I said, the lives might be a bit longer. They're probably going to be about an hour. I'm looking at about an hour for the lives. Now, that doesn't mean every single live I'm going to be getting into a trade. Worst case scenario, I'll be talking about a trade that I'm looking at. And bearing in mind, guys, also just worth bearing in mind that this is a demo account. I'm trading on a demo account. You can see here with the Pepperstone, it's a demo account. I started on 850. It's now on 913. So going nicely, but it is a demo account. So if you guys want to follow along with me, I would suggest following on a demo account because I'm still in my testing phase of the strategy, right? So everything I'm doing now is kind of, you are witnessing me testing the strategy. So make sure if you're following me that you are aware of that. Don't trade on big accounts and trade at your own risk, guys. Because at the end of the day, I'm not even talking about all of the different things about my strategy. I'm not even talking about, sorry, my daughter's playing this in the background. I'm not even talking about my strategy in its entirety, because that is going to be available to members only once I release a members only section, and then I'm going to be giving all of the little bits and bobs that make this even more powerful, why I'm looking at certain levels, why I'm closing early, why I'm not closing, why I'm holding. All of this stuff is going to be in those. So what might happen is I'm going to go live for an hour. I'll shut that down, and then the rest of the live will only be available to members. So that's how I'm going to be breaking it down, probably once I go to members, but I've still got to kind of work it all out. You can see how we've bounced off that level perfectly, guys. So my hope is now that it's a retracement and we're going to push higher to break this at least. Like I said, the target I feel is this over there. We're lower than that, so we should be able to hit this 450 fairly easily. But I'll give you guys the recap later, so keep an eye out for that. Thank you for joining me, and we will see you guys soon. See you next Monday, hopefully for a live. Have a good weekend, guys, and trade safe. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.